In a distant galaxy, far from the familiar stars of Earth, there lived a beautiful alien named Lyra. She belonged to the Sci-Fi, a race known for their stunning beauty and advanced technology. However, all of this changed when the ruthless Zoreth Empire began hunting her people. The Zoreth were merciless conquerors, known for enslaving entire civilizations, and they had set their sights on the Sci-Fi. As her homeworld fell into chaos, Lyra was forced to flee, leaving behind her friends, family, everything she had ever known, as she piloted her small starship through the vast expanse of space. Fear and sadness weighed heavily on her heart. The stars, once a source of comfort, now felt cold and unwelcoming. Just as she thought she might escape, a warning light flashed on her control panel, signaling a catastrophic failure. The ship shuddered violently, and before she could react, it spiraled out of control. Lyra fought against the chaos, desperately trying to stabilize her vessel, but it was no use. With a deafening roar, the ship broke apart, and she was thrown into darkness. When Lyra awoke, she found herself lying in a dense forest, the remnants of her ship scattered around her. The air was thick with the scent of earth and pine, a stark contrast to the cold metal of her spacecraft. Confused and disoriented, she gingerly sat up, wincing at the pain in her side. She looked around, her heart pounding. She was alone in an unfamiliar world, far from the safety of her people. Panic set in as she realized the true extent of her situation. She was now a fugitive on an unknown planet. With trembling hands, Lyra examined her surroundings. The trees towered over her, their leaves rustling gently in the wind. She felt small and vulnerable, a stark contrast to her former life of power and grace. As she struggled to stand, she caught a glimpse of her reflection in a nearby puddle. Her shimmering skin, once radiant, now appeared dull and covered in dirt. The weight of her situation began to sink in. She was not just lost, but hunted. If the Zoreth found her, there would be no escape. Feeling a surge of desperation, Lyra began to walk through the forest, hoping to find help. Each step felt heavy, as if the universe was pressing down on her. She longed for the comfort of her home, for the warmth of her family, and for the safety of her people. Tears welled in her eyes as she thought of what she had lost. She had been a proud Sci-Fi, but now she was nothing more than a lonely survivor, pleading for refuge in a world that felt foreign and hostile. After wandering for what felt like hours, Lyra stumbled upon a small clearing. In the center stood a figure, a human man, who was enjoying the tranquility of nature. He was tall, with warm eyes that seemed to glimmer with kindness. As he noticed her, his expression shifted from surprise to concern. Lyra's heart raced. Was a creature of the earth, and yet she felt an inexplicable connection to him. Gathering her courage, Lyra approached him, her voice trembling as she spoke. "Please, I need your help," she pleaded, her words laced with desperation. "I am not your enemy. I am just a lost soul seeking refuge." The man's eyes widened in disbelief, but he quickly regained his composure. He could see the fear and vulnerability in her gaze, and despite the strangeness of her appearance, he felt an overwhelming urge to help her. "Who are you?" he asked gently, trying to understand the beautiful creature before him. "What happened to you?" Lyra took a deep breath and explained her story, sharing the horrors of her flight from the Zoreth Empire and the devastation of her people. As she spoke, the man listened intently, absorbing every word. He could see the pain behind her eyes and the strength that shone through her vulnerability. In that moment, he made a decision that would change both their lives forever. With hope flickering in her heart for the first time since her crash, Lyra realized that perhaps, just perhaps, she had found someone who could help her escape her nightmare. The forest around them felt alive, whispering promises of new beginnings and unexpected friendships. As the sun began to set, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, Lyra felt a glimmer of hope. The kind Earthling, who introduced himself as Alex, listened to her story with genuine concern in his eyes. He offered her a hand, his warm smile, easing her fears. "You're safe here," he assured her, his voice calm and reassuring. "Let's get you to my home. We can figure this out together." Lyra, still shaken from her harrowing journey, nodded gratefully. She took a deep breath, feeling a mix of relief and uncertainty. Could she truly trust this human? Yet something in Alex's demeanor told her that he was different. They walked side by side through the forest, the sound of crunching leaves beneath their feet filling the silence. Lyra stole glances at Alex, noticing the way he carried himself with a sense of strength and kindness. As they reached Alex's modest cabin, nestled among the trees, Lyra was struck by the warmth and comfort it emanated. The wooden structure seemed to blend seamlessly into its natural surroundings, surrounded by vibrant flowers and lush greenery. Alex opened the door, inviting her inside. The interior was cozy, filled with books, photographs, and a faint smell of pine. Lyra felt a twinge of longing as she looked around. It reminded her of the simplicity of home, a place where she had once felt safe. "Make yourself comfortable," Alex said, gesturing to a worn sofa. Lyra hesitated for a moment, then sat down, her heart racing. She could hardly believe she was sitting in a human's home, far from the dangers of the Zoroth. Alex quickly prepared a cup of tea, the steam rising in delicate curls. He handed it to her, and she took a sip, savoring the warmth that spread through her. It was soothing, a small comfort in an otherwise chaotic world. As they sat together, Alex engaged her in conversation, asking questions about her life on the Sithari homeworld. With each word, Lyra felt herself opening up, sharing tales of her people, their vibrant cities, their love for art and music, and the deep connection they had with the universe. The more she spoke, the more she realized how much she missed her home. Tears welled in her eyes as she recounted the loss of her family and friends. Seeing her sadness, Alex reached out and gently placed his hand on hers. "I'm so sorry," he said softly. "You've been through so much. Please know that you're not alone anymore." His words wrapped around her like a warm embrace. And for the first time since her crash, she felt a flicker of hope. "I never imagined I would find kindness here," Lyra admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "I thought I would be hunted down, just another victim of the Zoroth.
Ow.
But you are different." Alex smiled, his eyes reflecting understanding. "We all have our battles to fight, no matter where we come from. What matters is how we stand together against the darkness." His words resonated deeply within her, igniting a spark of courage that she thought she had lost. As night fell, the stars twinkled overhead, filling the sky with a brilliant display. Lyra gazed out of the window, marveling at the beauty of this new world. It was different from the stars she knew, yet it felt comforting, as if they were welcoming her. "The stars remind me of home," she said, her voice filled with wonder. "They shine brightly, even in the darkest times." "Just like you," Alex replied, his gaze steady and sincere. Lyra felt warmth spread through her chest at his compliment. In that moment, the bond between them began to solidify, built on shared stories and a mutual understanding of loss and hope. As they continued to talk, Lyra realized that she was no longer just an alien fugitive. She was a survivor, a fighter. She had found a friend in Alex. The fear that had consumed her began to fade, replaced by the possibility of a new beginning. Together, they could face whatever challenges lay ahead in the heart of the forest. As the stars shone brightly above, Lyra made a silent promise to herself. She would not let fear define her. With Alex by her side, she would find a way to protect herself and her people, standing strong against the darkness of the Zoroth Empire. The journey ahead would be difficult, but for the first time in a long while, she felt ready to embrace it. As days turned into weeks, Lyra settled into her new life with Alex. Each morning, she woke to the gentle sound of birds singing outside the cabin, a melody that felt like a lullaby of hope. The forest, once a place of fear, had become her refuge. With Alex's kindness and support, she began to heal from the trauma of her escape. The bond between them grew stronger, blossoming into a friendship that neither had anticipated. Alex showed Lyra the beauty of Earth, taking her on long walks through the woods and sharing stories about his life. He introduced her to the wonders of nature, the vibrant colors of wildflowers, the soothing sounds of flowing streams, and the beauty of the changing seasons. Lyra was fascinated by everything she encountered. She had lived in a world of technology, an advanced civilization, but the simplicity of Earth's natural beauty took her breath away. Each new experience felt like a gift, a chance to rediscover joy in return. Lyra shared her own knowledge with Alex. She taught him about the scifi culture, their art, and the deep connection they had with the universe. They spent evenings sitting by the fireplace where Lyra would demonstrate her unique abilities. She could manipulate light, creating beautiful patterns that danced across the walls. Mesmerizing Alex, he watched in awe as she formed shapes and colors, each one telling a story of her people's history. "Your world is so rich with imagination," Alex said one evening, captivated by her display. "I've never seen anything like it." Lyra felt a rush of pride as he admired her talents. Sharing her culture gave her a sense of purpose, a way to honor her people despite the sorrow that lingered in her heart. As they continued to grow closer, Lyra noticed the small things about Alex that made her smile. The way he brushed his hair off his forehead when he was deep in thought, the soft laughter that escaped his lips when he made a joke, and the way his eyes sparkled when he talked about his dreams for the future. With each passing day, she found herself feeling more at home with him, her heart slowly opening to the possibility of something deeper. One evening, as they sat on the porch under a blanket of stars, Lyra turned to Alex and said, "Thank you for being here for me. You've shown me a kindness I never expected." Her voice trembled slightly, filled with emotion. Alex looked at her, his expression sincere. "You've been through so much, Lyra. I can't imagine what it must have been like for you, but I want you to know that you're safe now, and I will always stand by your side." Lyra felt her heart swell at his words. It was then that she realized how much she depended on him, not just for protection, but for companionship. The loneliness that had haunted her since her escape began to fade, replaced by a warmth she had thought she would never feel again. In Alex, she found a friend and a source of strength, however. As their bond deepened, Lyra couldn't shake the unease that lingered at the back of her mind. The Zorith Empire was still out there, and the danger was far from over. She worried about what would happen if they found her. Would Alex still want to protect her then? Or would he see her as a burden? These thoughts plagued her, but every time she looked into Alex's eyes, she felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps together, they could face whatever challenges lay ahead. One afternoon, while they were preparing a small garden near the cabin, Alex turned to her with a serious expression. "Lyra, I've been thinking. We can't stay hidden forever. If the Zorith come looking for you, we need a plan." The words sent a chill through her. The reality of her situation hit her hard, but she nodded, knowing he was right. "Yes, we must prepare," she replied, her voice steady despite the fear that gripped her. "I can help you understand their technology, and we can fight back." Together, they began to devise a strategy, combining their strengths and resources. Lyra felt a renewed sense of purpose as they worked side by side, determined to protect their newfound lives in the heart of the forest, surrounded by the beauty of nature. Lyra and Alex forged a bond built on trust, friendship, and a shared desire to overcome the darkness that threatened them. Their connection grew stronger with each passing day, and as they prepared for the challenges ahead, Lyra knew that, with Alex by her side, she was ready to face whatever the universe had in store for them. As the days turned into weeks, the peaceful life Lyra had begun to carve out with Alex was suddenly overshadowed by a dark cloud of fear. Despite the warmth of their bond, the reality of the Zorith Empire loomed over them like a storm waiting to strike. Lyra often found herself staring at the stars, wondering if her people were still alive, and if the Zorith would come looking for her. Each night, the same haunting question echoed in her mind. Would they find her here, in this quiet corner of Earth? One evening, while they were tending to their small garden, Lyra noticed Alex's expression change as he looked toward the sky. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the ground. "What is it?" she asked, sensing his unease. He hesitated, then pointed to the horizon where dark clouds gathered, swirling ominously. "It's not just the weather," he said slowly. "I've heard rumors around town. People have reported strange lights in the sky and unexplainable sounds. They think it might be related to visitors." Lyra's heart raced as she realized what he meant. The Zoroth were coming. They could feel her presence, and soon they would be here, searching for her. Panic surged through her, but she quickly pushed it down. "We need to prepare," she said, her voice steady despite the storm of emotions within her. "If they are coming, we cannot let fear take over. We must be ready to fight." Alex nodded, determination etched on his face. "You're right. We need a plan." They began to brainstorm ideas, combining Lyra's knowledge of sci-fi technology with Alex's resourcefulness. As they worked late into the night, Lyra felt a sense of urgency pushing her forward. She had to protect Alex and the life they had built together. The next day they ventured into the nearby town to gather supplies. They quietly spoke to local residents, trying to gather information about the strange occurrences. Many people were worried, whispering about sightings of unusual ships in the night sky. Lyra felt a chill run down her spine. The Zoroth were not just a threat to her, but to everyone around her. As they returned to the cabin, Lyra felt the weight of responsibility heavy on her shoulders. She was not only fighting for her own survival, but for Alex and the innocent people who had welcomed her into their lives. The thought of putting them in danger made her stomach turn. As they unloaded their supplies, she turned to Alex, her voice barely above a whisper. "What if they find us? What if I put you in danger?" Alex stepped closer, taking her hands in his. "You are not a burden, Lyra. You're my friend, and friends protect each other. We will face this together, I promise." His words filled her with warmth, but the fear still lingered in her heart. The Zoroth were ruthless, and she had seen firsthand the destruction they could cause. That evening, as they sat by the fireplace, Lyra shared her plans for defending their home. She explained how the sci-fi had used energy barriers to protect themselves during attacks. Inspired, Alex proposed they build a makeshift barrier using the materials they had gathered. They could create a defense that could buy them time if the Zoroth came looking for her. As they worked on their plan, Lyra felt a mix of fear and hope. She knew they were facing an overwhelming force, but she also felt empowered by their partnership. Together, they could create something strong, something that might give them a fighting chance. Days passed, and the tension in the air grew thicker. Lyra and Alex worked tirelessly, building their defenses while keeping a close watch on the sky. The strange lights that had been reported became more frequent, and whispers of unease spread throughout the town. People began to prepare for the worst, and fear gripped the hearts of many. One night, as they sat together under the stars, Lyra felt the weight of her past and her present colliding. "I never thought I would be fighting for my life on a planet filled with such beauty," she said, her voice heavy with emotion. "But I also never thought I would find someone like you." Alex smiled softly, his eyes reflecting the starlight. "We are stronger together, Lyra. Whatever happens, we will face it side by side." Just then, a loud rumble echoed across the night sky, and bright lights pierced through the darkness. Lyra's heart dropped as she realized that the Zoroth had finally come. The moment she had dreaded was here. With Alex by her side, she steeled herself for the fight ahead, knowing that together they would stand against the darkness. The bond they had forged would be their greatest weapon. She was ready to protect the life they had built together, no matter the cost. The night air crackled with tension as Lyra and Alex stood at the edge of the forest, gazing up at the sky. The bright lights that had danced above them moments ago were now revealing themselves to be the ships of the Zoroth Empire. Dark shadows. Against the stars, fear coursed through Lyra's veins, but it was quickly replaced by a fierce determination. They had prepared for this moment, and they would not back down. "Lyra, we need to gather the townspeople," Alex said urgently, his eyes scanning the horizon.
"Oh."
"They deserve to know what's coming." Nodding, Lyra understood the gravity of the situation. This was not just about her anymore. It was about protecting everyone who had given her sanctuary. Together, they raced down the path toward the town, their hearts pounding with each step. As they reached the center of town, the atmosphere was electric with anxiety. People were gathered in clusters, whispering anxiously about the strange lights and the impending threat. Lyra stepped forward, her voice strong even though her heart felt heavy. "Everyone listen. The Zorith Empire has come for me, but we are not helpless. We can fight back." The crowd fell silent, eyes wide with fear and curiosity. Alex stood beside her, nodding in support. "Lyra is right. We've been working on a plan, and we need your help. Together we can defend our home." Slowly, townspeople began to murmur among themselves. Faces filled with apprehension turned to expressions of resolve. One woman stepped forward, her voice trembling but determined. "What can we do?" she asked, looking at Lyra with a mixture of fear and hope. Lyra took a deep breath, feeling the weight of their trust resting on her shoulders. "We need to fortify our defenses. I can create energy barriers to protect us, but I will need materials and manpower. If we work together, we can hold them off long enough to find a way to defeat them." As she spoke, the fire of determination ignited in the eyes of the townspeople. They began to gather supplies, wood, metal, and anything they could find to help strengthen their makeshift defenses. Alex moved through the crowd, organizing people into groups, while Lyra focused on preparing the energy barriers. She could feel the energy swirling within her, ready to be unleashed. As night fell, ships loomed closer, their dark forms casting shadows over the town. Lyra concentrated, drawing on her Cytheria abilities. She could feel the energy pulse through her, resonating with the fear and hope of those around her. She raised her hands, and bright tendrils of light began to weave together, forming a shimmering barrier around the town. The townspeople watched in awe as the barrier expanded, glowing with an ethereal light. Lyra felt a surge of power as she completed the shield, a protective dome that shimmered like a rainbow. "This will hold them off," she called out, her voice filled with conviction. But just as she finished, a loud roar echoed through the sky. The Zoroth ships descended, their weapons primed and ready to fire. The ground trembled as they unleashed a barrage of energy blasts toward the town. Lyra's heart raced, but she stood firm. "Stay behind the barrier," she shouted, positioning herself at the front of the defense. The first blast hit the barrier with a deafening crash. Lyra felt the impact reverberate through her body, but the shield held strong. She closed her eyes, focusing on the energy flowing within her. "I won't let them take us," she whispered, determination flooding her veins. The townspeople rallied behind her, their fear transforming into courage as they witnessed her strength. They shouted encouragement, their voices rising above the chaos. "We can do this," Alex yelled, his voice a beacon of hope. They formed a line, ready to defend their home against the impending threat, as the Zorath continued their assault. Lyra channeled all her energy into the barrier, reinforcing it with each blast. The air crackled with power as she held her ground. The barrier flickered, but remained intact, a testament to her will and the support of those around her. With each wave of energy that struck, Lyra felt the connection to the townspeople grow stronger. They were fighting together, each person contributing to the defense. It was not just her battle, it was theirs. She could feel their hope fueling her, and with every blast that hit the barrier, her resolve only deepened. Then, in a moment of clarity, Lyra realized that they could turn the tide. "We need to strike back," she shouted, her voice ringing with determination. "We can use the energy from the barrier to fight back." With Alex's support, they began to formulate a plan. As the Zoroth continued their relentless attack, Lyra prepared to unleash a counteroffensive, ready to show them that humanity and Cytheria together would not be defeated. They had come this far, and they would fight for their lives, for their homes, and for each other. The battle had begun, and Lyra was ready to lead the charge. As the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, the air was filled with the scent of smoke and the echoes of victory. The battle had come to an end, and the townspeople stood together, weary but triumphant. The Zorath ships lay scattered, and damaged remnants of a fierce fight that had tested their strength and resolve. Lyra, her heart still racing from the adrenaline of the previous night, looked around at the faces of her friends and allies. They had come together in a way she had never imagined possible, and it filled her with a deep sense of gratitude. "It really over?" Alex asked, his voice filled with disbelief as he surveyed the scene. Lyra stepped closer to him, her heart swelling with pride. "I think it is," she replied, a smile breaking through her exhaustion. "We did it together." She could hardly believe that they had faced such a powerful enemy and emerged victorious. Their unity had been their greatest weapon, and she felt an overwhelming sense of hope for the future. As the sun rose higher, casting a golden glow over the town, Lyra turned to the townspeople, who were beginning to gather and assess the damage. "We need to check on one another," she called out. "Let's see who needs help and what we can do to rebuild." The townspeople nodded, their spirits high as they moved to support one another. They had fought together, and now they would heal together. Lyra felt a sense of purpose as she joined the efforts to help. She moved through the crowd, offering encouragement and support. People shared stories of bravery, recounting their moments of fear and triumph. Each tale brought them closer, forging bonds that would last a lifetime. As she listened, she realized how much she had grown since arriving on Earth. No longer just a lost alien, she had become an integral part of this community. Later that day, as the sun began to set, the townspeople gathered in the center of town to celebrate their victory. A large fire crackled in the middle of the square, casting warm light on their faces. Lyra stood beside Alex, feeling a mix of joy and relief. She looked around at everyone, their faces illuminated by the flames, to recognize the strength that had brought them all together. Alex raised his voice, calling for silence. "We have faced a great threat, but we have also shown what it means. To stand together, we fought for our home and for each other. Let us never forget the courage we found in one another." The crowd erupted in cheers, their voices echoing into the night. Lyra felt tears of joy welling in her eyes. She had never felt so connected to anyone or anything in her life. As the celebration continued, Lyra felt a gentle hand on her shoulder. It was the woman who had first stepped forward to ask how to help during the battle. "You've brought us together, Lyra," she said with a warm smile. "You have shown us that we are stronger when we stand united." Lyra felt a wave of emotion wash over her, and she smiled back, grateful for her newfound family. As the night wore on, stories were shared, laughter filled the air, and music began to play. Lyra joined in, feeling the rhythm of life around her. She realized that she had found a place where she belonged, a place that accepted her for who she was. The darkness of her past began to fade, replaced by the light of hope and new beginnings. But even amidst the joy, Lyra couldn't shake the memory of her people. While she had fought for her own survival, she knew that there were still Sithari left behind, still being hunted by the Zoreth. The thought weighed heavily on her heart, reminding her that her journey was not yet complete. She turned to Alex, her expression serious. "We have to find a way to help my people," she said firmly. "They need us." Alex nodded, his eyes reflecting understanding. "Then we will," he replied. "Together, we will reach out to them and bring them here. We've shown that we can face any threat." His confidence filled her with renewed strength. That night, as the stars twinkled above, Lyra made a silent promise to herself. She would not rest until she had brought her people to safety. With Alex and the townspeople by her side, she knew they could forge a new future, one where both humans and Sithari could live in peace. As they celebrated their victory, Lyra looked up at the stars, feeling a sense of belonging she had never experienced before. In the heart of the forest, surrounded by the warmth of friendship and love, she realized that she had found her home. Together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead, united in hope and determination. The dawn of a new era had begun, and with it, the promise of a brighter future for all. As the battle raged on, the air was filled with the sounds of explosions and shouts. Bright blasts of energy lit up the night sky, illuminating the faces of the townspeople who stood bravely behind Lyra's shimmering barrier. She could feel the energy pulsing beneath her fingertips, a connection to both her Sithiri heritage and the determination of the people around her. This was not just a fight for her own survival. It was a stand for everyone who called this place home. "Lyra," Alex shouted, his voice cutting through the chaos. "We need to strike back now. They're weakening the barrier." She turned to him, her heart racing. She could see the fear in his eyes, but also a fierce resolve. "I'm ready," she replied, determination flooding her voice. "Let's show them what we can do." With a deep breath, Lyra focused all her energy into the barrier, feeling the power surge within her. "On my count," she yelled, her voice resolute. "1. Now." As she released the energy, a brilliant wave of light erupted from the barrier, shooting towards the Zoroth ships. The blast met the enemy with a force that surprised even Lyra. The Zoroth soldiers had never faced anything like this before. The bright energy struck the nearest ship, causing it to shudder and tilt dangerously. It was a moment of triumph, eh? Sign that they could fight back. Townspeople cheered, their spirits lifted as they witnessed their chance to turn the tide. Lyra felt invigorated by their energy, and with every passing second, her confidence grew. Together, they were strong. "It upped, everyone," Alex encouraged, rallying the townspeople to join in. "Can do this." Inspired by his words, they began to work in unison, gathering whatever they could to aid their defense. Some launched small projectiles at the ships, while others reinforced the barrier with makeshift materials. The atmosphere shifted, transforming. From fear to fierce determination, Lyra harnessed the energy of the barrier again, this time aiming it at multiple ships. She could feel the adrenaline coursing through her veins, pushing her to fight harder. She directed the energy blasts. Explosions erupted in the sky, lighting up the night with beautiful colors. The Zoroth were caught off guard, their ships, now vulnerable and disorganized. Suddenly, an alarm blared from one of the Zoroth vessels. "They're regrouping," Lyra shouted to Alex. "We need to keep the pressure on." With renewed urgency, they focused their efforts, launching energy bursts and projectiles at the retreating enemy. The townspeople worked together seamlessly, each individual playing a crucial role in their defense. As the battle unfolded, Lyra caught sight of a massive Zoroth ship hovering above them. It was larger than the others, with ominous weapons bristling along its sides. "That ship is their command center," she said, her heart racing. "If we can take it down, we can disrupt their forces." Alex nodded, determination etched on his face. "Then that's our target." With a plan forming in their minds, Lyra and Alex rallied the townspeople once more. "We need to focus our energy on that ship," she called out. "If we can hit it hard enough, it might just give us the advantage we need." The crowd erupted with enthusiasm, their spirits lifted by the prospect of victory. Lyra gathered her energy, feeling the pulse of the barrier as it resonated with her determination. "Now," she shouted, directing a massive blast toward the end. "Command ship." The energy surged through her, bright and powerful, as it soared through the air. It struck the ship with a force that shook the ground beneath them, and for a moment, everything seemed to pause. Then, the deafening roar, the command ship exploded in a shower of sparks and debris. The townspeople erupted into cheers there, voices rising in triumph. Lyra felt a rush of exhilaration wash over her. They had done it. The Zoroth were thrown into chaos, their formations breaking apart as confusion spread among their ranks. But amidst the celebration, Lyra knew they couldn't let up. "We have to keep fighting," she urged, her voice steady. "We can't let them regroup." The townspeople nodded, rallying behind her once more. The battle was far from over, but they had gained the upper hand as the Zoroth forces faltered. Lyra felt a sense of hope bloom within her. They were no longer just a group of frightened townspeople. They were a united force, standing together against a common enemy. With each blast that rang out and each cheer that echoed through the night, she realized that they had become something greater, a family fighting for their future, with renewed determination. Lyra and Alex led their friends into the fray, ready to finish what they had started. They fought not only for survival, but for the hope of a new beginning, one where fear would no longer rule their lives. Together, They would ensure that the Zorath Empire would never threaten their home again. The tide had turned, and they were ready to seize their victory.